I went from having 800 followers and nobody knowing who I was in my industry to having over 50,000 followers across social media, winning the 2024 Dentist Influencer of the Year, and being able to make a global impact. This may not seem like a big deal for you, and it didn't to me either until I sat down to make this video. And you may be wondering, okay, how did this guy do it? How do you go from unknown to known in an industry that's archaic? And the only way that people used to become known is by speaking on stages, spending years and years traveling across the country. And all this guy did was make some videos and post it on the internet. Okay, I did a little bit more than that, but it's pretty simple. I call it the find, show, build strategy. It consists of finding a topic, showing up consistently, and building connections with real people. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Avi, and I am a retired dentist. On this channel, I help dentists thrive. I talk about clear aligners, the reality of dentistry, all while keeping it raw and authentic. So before you go babbling on camera talking about stuff that you have no idea what you're saying, I want you to think about this first. Get clear on who your audience is, and think about what is something that you can talk about every single day for the next 5 years. If you look at it through that lens, it's really going to help you figure out what is the topic that you can go really, really deep on for a long period of time. Because the name of the game is quantity. And the more that you can talk about something, the better off you're going to be in the long run. The next thing you need to evaluate is how valuable is that topic? So since you already know who your audience is and you kind of know what you want to talk about, find the intersection of the two in terms of what problem your audience is facing and how you can talk about the solution. And that's how you can find the most valuable topic. So for me, I was making content for dentists. Dentists usually struggle with finances, fulfillment, and the reality not meeting their expectations in their career. I know this because I'm a dentist and I felt all those things. In my career, when I started doing clear aligners, everything changed. I had more time, I had more money, and I had more fulfillment. And so this is when I started talking to other dentists and teaching them how to do it. I was doing it in person, but then when I started doing it online, I realized there was a lot of interest. I wasn't getting messages from people every single day, but I knew there was interest because when I brought this topic up, people would engage, people would comment, people would tell me, hey, I really like what you're doing. And so that's how I knew I was going down the right path. Not to mention, I also had a consulting business at the time, and I was using social media as a way to drive clients to it. So I knew that talking about clear aligners was a valuable topic because the problem is people don't know how to do it. And the solution that I was offering was teaching them how to do it. Make sense? So the biggest hack in life is if you just do something consistently, you will be successful with it. The problem is most people give up before that consistency is able to pay off. If you want to practice consistency, try to do something for 365 days straight, whether that's write a blog post, make a video, make a reel, post on your story, something. I made a reel for 365 days straight. I'll tell you about that a little bit more in a second. Another aspect of showing up consistently is picking a regular frequency on which you're going to be posting on platforms. For me, in the beginning, I posted 3 times a week on Instagram and I posted once a week on YouTube. This held me accountable because I had to create that content regularly, and it also gave my audience a predictable schedule to follow, so they knew when I was going to be posting. You see how that's a two-way street? Another aspect of showing up consistently is doing just that. Show up. Show the good. Show the bad. People want to see it all. Because if you only treat it as a highlight reel, you're gonna feel like a bigger imposter over time as your page continues to grow. But when you share the losses and you share the struggles, you become more relatable and you really build a connection with your audience, and they feel like they can actually understand what you're going through because you're willing to be vulnerable and share. That is the key to skyrocketing your growth. A great example of something that I did that encompasses all of this is how I did my robe talks for an entire year. So in 2022, I made a promise to myself that I was going to make a reel every single day at 5 o'clock in the morning in my robe, and I wanted to just share some type of positive message with the world. For one, it was a way to hold myself accountable and practice consistency. And it also was a way for me to get better at posting videos. In addition to that, it helped me get over the concept of perfectionism. So I wasn't just sitting there overthinking things. I got really good at pulling out my camera, recording a video, and posting it and not thinking twice. And a big driver of this was actually my dad. When I first started making videos, my dad told me that I was boring, I spoke in monotone, and nobody would listen to me. And that hurt. I'm grateful that he was not sugarcoating it, but I mean, geez, some harsh criticism. And so I made it a point where I'm going to practice changing inflections in my voice and really engaging with the camera and finding ways to actually talk really well in front of a camera. And so if you've been watching this video or you've watched any of my other videos, just know this is a skill that I've learned over time, and it's something that you can learn too. But one of the greatest moments in this entire journey for me was one day, probably about 3 months in 2022, in March or April, my dad watched one of my videos and he texted me and he said, "That was such a good video. It was so engaging and you did really well." And for me, that felt so good because I wasn't actually posting to impress my dad. I was posting because I wanted to get better. But to hear that from my dad and to know where his standard was in terms of engaging content, I knew that I was hitting the sweet spot. And this was an even bigger motivator for me to continue to go further and to continue to go farther. So before we move forward in the video, if this is helping you in any way, I would really appreciate it if you could just drop a comment below. That's going to let YouTube know that you are enjoying this video, and it's going to pump this out to even more people who are just like you. Also, if you don't mind sharing this with someone who you think might be interested in it, that'd be super helpful as well. So did you know that you can actually grow your online presence by talking to people in real life? It's called building connection. But before you go do that, you want to make sure that you're sharing things on your stories from an authentic perspective. Yes, you can share your meals. Yes, you can share your morning routine. Yes, you can share what you're wearing that day. But I also want you to go a little bit deeper. Share your thoughts, share your perspectives, share the things that you really enjoy about the day. What type of weather do you enjoy walking around in? What does a great Saturday look like for you? All the different things that make up you and your thoughts, that needs to be shared with your audience so that way they can understand who you are and what you're about. And when you do it in a very easy, natural way, that's the best way to do it. If you're spending time putting filters and editing and doing all the different things, no one is really going to appreciate the video. And it's going to come across even more fake and curated. Another way to build connection with your audience is to actually reply to DMs and comments. Look, I've got over 45,000 followers on Instagram and I've got over 9,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I make it a point to reply to comments and DMs wherever I get them. Yes, sometimes I miss them, but I make it a point to do so because I remember the days when nobody was messaging me and I was waiting for people to interact with me. And so I want you to know that this is the same guy in front of and behind the camera. And one of the greatest compliments that I get to this day is when I meet people in person, they tell me, "Wow, you're the same person that I see on the videos." And taking that one step further, it's super important to be yourself and to engage with people, because as you continue to grow and expand your reach and your audience, you are going to feel a level of imposter syndrome. That just happens. People are going to put you on a pedestal and they're going to think of you a certain way. But if you stay humble and you stay true to yourself from the beginning, over time as you grow, you are going to be very, very comfortable in your skin, and that is only going to help you. If you found this video helpful in any way, I want to let you know I actually retired from practicing clinical dentistry because now I focus full-time on my online business and supporting dentists. I talk more about that in this video here. I'll see you in there.